Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emma, and today we've got a really exciting episode lined up. We're diving into a topic that's super popular right now, interviews and guest episodes. If you're a content creator, a podcast lover, or someone who just enjoys hearing different perspectives, you're going to want to stick around for this conversation. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Now, let me introduce today's special guest Mike. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and chat about interviews and guest episodes. It's a format I love both as a guest and a listener.
Awesome. We're thrilled to have you. So, to kick things off, let's talk about the basic concept of interviews. What do you think makes a great interview, and why is this format so popular right now?
Well, interviews are such a powerful way to engage with an audience because they allow for in-depth, personal dialogue. Unlike scripted content, where everything is planned out, interviews bring in this organic element, where you're hearing someone's true thoughts and experiences. There's a genuine quality to a great interview that you just can't get from other formats.
Exactly. The best interviews feel like conversations rather than just a question and answer session. There's an energy that's created when two people start bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think that's what makes interviews so appealing. They feel authentic. When the guest is comfortable, they open up, and that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, that's the key, authenticity. If the guest is nervous or just sticking to the script, the conversation can feel stiff. But when there's trust between the host and the guest, you get these unscripted, raw moments that really connect with the audience.
Totally. And that's why preparation is important, but so is leaving space for those spontaneous moments. You can't predict everything, and that's what makes interviews exciting. It's like a dance between the host and the guest, where each person's energy feeds off the other.
Right, and sometimes the best insights come from those unexpected detours in the conversation. You might start with one topic, but suddenly, you're talking about something totally different and more personal, and that's where you get those aha moments.
Now, let's talk about guest episodes. These are a huge trend right now across podcasts, YouTube channels, and even talk shows. What do you think makes a great guest episode?
Great guest episodes are all about bringing in someone who offers a unique perspective, someone who's knowledgeable or passionate about the topic at hand. But it's also about chemistry, the dynamic between the host and the guest. It's not just about asking questions and getting answers, it's about creating a collaborative conversation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's not just about expertise, either. Sometimes, the best guest episodes are with people who have fascinating life stories or experiences that aren't necessarily tied to their profession. It's about bringing something new to the table and keeping the audience engaged.
Exactly. The guest doesn't always have to be a famous expert. Sometimes, it's the regular person with a unique life experience that resonates with people. That's what makes guest episodes so compelling. They are an opportunity to learn from a variety of voices and perspectives.
And I think that's where podcasting and YouTube have a huge advantage. There's more freedom to bring in different types of guests, from influencers to everyday heroes to industry leaders. The variety keeps things fresh and exciting.
Absolutely. It's like, every time you bring on a new guest, it's like opening a new chapter in your show. You never really know exactly where the conversation will go, but that's the beauty of it.
Alright, so interviews and guest episodes sound great in theory, but they come with their own set of challenges. For you, what's the hardest part about hosting an interview?
For me, one of the biggest challenges is making sure the conversation stays on track while still allowing for that natural flow. It's a balancing act, especially if you're trying to dive deep into a topic but also want to leave room for those unexpected moments. Also, it's important to keep the energy up and make sure the guest doesn't feel rushed.
Yeah, pacing is so important. It's easy to get lost in a conversation and forget time, but you also don't want to overwhelm your guest with too many questions at once. I always try to keep a balance between structure and spontaneity. You want to have key points you want to cover, but you also need to be ready to improvise.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of prep work comes in. You need to research your guest beforehand and come up with some good questions, but you also need to listen carefully in the moment. Sometimes, the most interesting stuff comes from a single phrase the guest says, and you can dig deeper from there.
Right. And it's important to be a good listener, not just a good asker of questions. Letting your guest speak fully without interruption and asking follow-up questions based on what they've said is a skill. It makes the guest feel heard and valued, and it's when the best content happens. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about starting their own podcast or video series and wants to incorporate interviews or guest episodes?
My biggest tip would be to focus on the chemistry between you and your guest. If you're comfortable with each other and have a genuine connection, the conversation will naturally flow. Also, don't be afraid to let the conversation take unexpected turns. Trust in the process and don't overthink it.
That's great advice. And I would add, always make sure to create a comfortable environment for your guests. The more relaxed they feel, the more likely they are to share authentic and meaningful insights.
Definitely. And don't forget to have fun with it. Interviews should be enjoyable, not just for the audience but also for you and your guest.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. A big thank you to Mike for joining us and sharing your insights on the power of interviews and guest episodes.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Of course. And thank you to everyone watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And remember, interviews and guest episodes can be an incredible way to add value to your show and bring fresh perspectives to your audience. See you in the next episode. Now let's listen to some of the vocabulary from the conversation. Vocabulary recap: authentic, genuine, real, or true to oneself. Energy, the feeling or atmosphere in a conversation. Spontaneous, acting on impulse, not planned. Organic, natural, unforced. Chemistry, the connection between two people that makes a conversation flow smoothly. Engaged, fully interested and involved. Structure, a plan or framework to guide the conversation. Pacing, the speed and rhythm of the conversation. Value, worth or importance of something. Thanks for watching. See you in next video. Until then, bye. Take care, guys.